You're listening to the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring former federal prosecutor and president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, Neama Rahmani.
You would think, the goal here would be keep your family out of the limelight. If you care about them. If you're a decent human being, clearly, I don't think we're dealing with that. But the fact that we have this documentary that is now in production, it has been confirmed. Peacock has even made a statement about the production of it. And we've learned that Asa, it's not truly a $1 million paycheck. It's a licensing fee that she's getting to use, or that she's getting in for them to be able to use her own footage. Okay, I get that. You got to arrange this however you need to. But it was also stated that she has no creative control over the docu-series that's being put together, and that the money she receives cannot go to Heuerman or be used for his defense. That's been the big concern, I think, from a lot of people is, if you're profiting off of it, it's still icky. But still, if you're going to be using that then to defend Rex, that could be even trickier. What's to stop her, honestly, from using the money to defend Rex Heuerman? Is it because they are still married and any income that would be coming in would still, the tax day, be looked at as joint income until there would actually be a divorce there?
Well, potentially. So let's take a step back. And Peacock's owned by NBC Universal, and they own Bravo. So I'm here in Hollywood. I've seen their agreements and the talent, and sadly, Asa is the talent.
Yes,
they never have creative control, right? They can't decide, how the docuseries is done. And then obviously, we've talked about this before. There are these Slayer statutes, right? And going back to Murdoch, Gloria's lawyers, they still have a judgment against him, and if you were to ever try to do anything in violation of the statute, they'd be able to get the money, because I think they have a $4+ million judgment against them still, and it's accruing interest. So, now you have Asa here. She's trying to get paid, but we know that Rex can't get paid. So then the question is, is someone going to actually be tracing this money? How are Heuerman's lawyers getting paid? Because they're also getting paid by Peacock, right? They have their own deal. So they're getting paid by Peacock. Are they working on this case pro bono? Is this a workaround the statute? Because, absolutely, you can't profit off your murders. That's clear. So it seems like everyone in his inner circle is profiting somehow. And this might be something this loophole that needs to be closed by state legislatures, because, look, hey, we're not paying the killer directly, but why don't we pay every member of his family? It kind of reminds me of the old days in, college football and basketball before NIL. You don't pay the player directly, but all of a sudden, mom and dad get a new house. That doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem fair. So hopefully, folks fix this law, because that's what's happening here.
Is this something where Asa or in any planet could be looked at as a way to exonerate herself through this docuseries? I'm wondering what she's thinking or not thinking about this, because it seems like the easiest possible way to incriminate yourself and get charges brought against you, or further charges against your husband, or both. Or if you're extremely careful, maybe this will make you look like the victim. And if that's the case, and she truly is, okay. But I don't know, if you were an attorney for Asa Ellerup right now, and yes, she has this potential to get $1 million out of it, would you be advising her? These attorneys obviously are profiting handsomely as well. Let's say you as an attorney would not be part of that deal. It's just you're advising your client. Do you think she should do this documentary? Is that a help to her or a hurt to her, big picture?
Big picture, it's absolutely a hurt to her. And the example I like to give is, Bob Durst in The Jinx, right?
Yes.
He beats a couple murders, then he's infamously on the HBO documentary, and all of a sudden, here in my hometown of LA, after decades, he's convicted of murder, and he dies in prison here a short time thereafter. But these documentaries are never a good idea if you have some criminal exposure. And let's be honest, Asa does. She's at a minimum present. Her DNA's apparently at the scene. She's present at some of these sex parties at her house. She's a witness at worst. She's a co-defendant in terms of the absolute worst. So she has to be very careful about what she does. Now, listen, if I thought she's a PR genius, I'd be like, okay, well, maybe this was her way of kind of telling her story and getting out of this. But she's been absolutely terrible in how she's handled the case, trying to get her husband's hundreds of guns back, trying to, keep the house, and just been very antagonistic with the media. So she doesn't strike me as someone who's likable or savvy enough that's going to use this in any way to help her. This might be the reason she goes down in flames. And frankly, if you're the prosecution, you say, great, more evidence for us to get via subpoena or search warrant. So that's going to be all ours, and that's going to be all evidence we use at trial. So if you're the prosecution, you're thinking, great, give her more rope to hang herself, which is what's happening here.
I completely agree. If they start subpoenaing that material, and just the biggest piece of advice to learn from Durst is turn your mic off when you go to the bathroom. Turn the mic off.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.